It has come alive. It's fast, it's furious, and it's where the first qualifying of the 2024 season of F1 Academy is about to take place. It was Doriane Pin for Mercedes who set the fastest time in practice earlier today, but Abby pulling for Alpine, who was 2/10 behind, say she has more to give. It didn't take long. The competition is already heating up. The track is the longest on the calendar at 6.1 kilometers, and it has the most turns at 27. The walls are close, it's unforgiving, and it's very, very fast. Finding that balance of risk and return is going to be absolutely critical in today's 30-minute qualifying session. My name is Nikki Shields. Alongside me is Alex Brundle. There is a huge amount of anticipation around the first qualifying of the season. You can see the cars now are lining up in the paddock. We've got a couple of minutes before qualifying starts. What's going through the drivers' minds right now?
What's going through their minds is they really need to get not one but 2 lap times on the board. Fastest lap from this qualifying session will dictate the starting position for race 1. Second fastest lap will dictate the starting position for race 2. Both races giving out equal numbers of points. And they've got a lot of laps at the limit to do. And quite clearly, they're pretty keen to do them. Out towards the end of the pit lane, on the green light, all of our 15 competitors pretty much, with a few exceptions, looking to get out on the road and start delivering.
So you can see the McLaren there in that beautiful papaya orange. That was Bianca Bustamante, who's now going out on track. She clipped the wall earlier in practice and said that's why she thinks she lost a bit of time. She basically hadn't got the right steering for the whole of the session. So I'm excited to see what she can do now that they've sorted that problem in the car.
Braking moment down towards turn 1 for Bustamante early on, was pulled into that outside wall, the ART driver, but it's going to get another run at it. And it is so difficult to get up to speed if you don't have the car absolutely working underneath you the way you might like. But there will be another opportunity, albeit in incredibly different track conditions to the track conditions the drivers practiced in earlier on today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how frustrating is that really in a way as a driver? You put in all of this effort in practice and then you come to qualifying when you need to set the fastest time possible and everything has changed. But this is what these guys have been doing over the course of testing. Hopefully, this is what they've been preparing for in the sim. They've put in a lot of preparation to get here today. Yeah, sure have.
And Maya Wu is no exception to that in Ferrari colours.
Well, speaking of Maya Wu, let's hear from her. We had a catch-up with her earlier in the weekend.
My strategy for qualifying this weekend is obviously to get the lap in without any mistakes. And then, yeah, we need to do 2 good laps for quali to set both grids. So it's important to get 2 really good laps in and hopefully have a good one.
Well, we know it's important to put in 2 really good laps, but how hard is it going to be? I mean, obviously consistency is key in all of motorsport, but the challenge to put in 2 perfect laps, not easy.
Certainly there. They're on a tyre which can deliver over several laps here. We saw that in practice in much hotter conditions, at least 10 degrees hotter in terms of the air temp, more than that in terms of the track temp. So firing the tyre up, getting the peak out of it, but then also getting it to deliver over what is best part of 13, 14 kilometers over 2 laps, it is going to be the challenge. You're seeing drivers now build into this session. That's not a peak performance turn 1 and 2 from Doriane Pin. She's still building the tyre look as she moves around the circuit on the way down to turn 4. Interesting to see the approach that these drivers will take to try to warm this tyre up to best ability. And this is all of their testing knowledge and all of the work that they've been doing with the teams coming to fruition now in what will be one of the most important sessions of the year to set the pecking order in this series.
Yeah, absolutely. And you want to have a good first race weekend, don't you? Because there's quite a big gap between this race and the next one, Miami, in just under 2 months' time. And you want to be able to leave the first race weekend on a high. And qualifying is really going to set the target for the weekend. And as we mentioned earlier, qualifying, this one session will set the grid for both race 1 and race 2. We take the quickest lap time from the driver for race 1 and then their second quickest lap time for the grid for race 2. So now we're going to go down and actually hear from Amna Al-Gbazi, who we chatted to earlier.
I mean, I'm still working on qualifying till now, but my strategy is just to, you know, keep it on track, avoid any traffic, avoid track limits. I'm really over it with penalties, so I don't want to get any more penalties. So just, you know, abide with the rules and, yeah, try to avoid every incident on track.
Well, hopefully there won't be too many incidents in this session, but obviously it is a very tight, twisty street circuit. The walls are very unforgiving. There's not much runoff, but in a way that this is a brilliant place and a brilliant location for these drivers to hone in on their skills. You know, that is what F1 Academy is also all about. It's a test bed for these drivers to not only understand the car, but push their limits and really perfect their skill as a driver.
Absolutely so. Tight boundaries of this circuit as we go on board with the Mercedes connected. Doriane Pin, one of the most experienced drivers in the series, down towards turn 4, arcs the car in. There's a bit of traffic ahead, and look how aggressively these cars bounce off those outside curves. You really have to be right on top of that as she arcs through turns 8, 9 and 10, the big curve on the outside of turn 10, which forms the apex curve of turn 11. There it is going to be one that she'll definitely want to be staying away from. Then across the road, it seems like a long run, doesn't it, on 150 miles an hour down towards turn 13, still trying to build that tyre temperature, still moving across the road. And that is how hard this compound is for these young drivers, and that is what they're going to be up against. She's feeling understeer in the car through the early sections of the lap, which is why she's bailing and still trying to build tyre temperature. Abby pulling second in the session this earlier on today, and she looks to be on somewhat more of a concerted lap, doesn't she, Nikki?
Yeah, at the moment, but probably not for long. And it was interesting to hear what Pulling had to say after her practice this morning. She definitely felt she had more to give, more in the car. She's got a new engineer this year from last year, nicknamed Zimba, official name, Courtney Criswell, and she's feeling really confident in the car this year. So I think we can expect big things from Abby. Of course, she raced last year for Rodin, finished the season in 5th, but is looking to improve on that position.
Pulling, the driver looking to be on the first of the proper laps here. Purple in both sectors. Nobody really pushing on, though, apart from Pulling, who feels like she has the tyre underneath her. Into the final corner she goes for an early benchmark then. Bit of a tow across the line from the Aston Martin liveried machine just in front of her. Abby Pulling across the line, 206.2. 205.5 will be the benchmark for her early on.
So at the moment, that is 0.8 off the pace for Maya Vug, but I'm sure those times are going to speed up. Okay, so now we are on board with Doriane Pin, the number 28 in the Mercedes.
And this is an interesting point in the race director's notes. For all series this weekend, it might be catching out Doriane Pin here. They're not allowed to cross that pit entry line or that painted area at all in the various series. So we'll see. It'll come up on our timing screen as failing to follow race director's instructions. And we'll see if there is any issue as a result of that. So far, nothing for Doriane Pin, who is purple in the first sector and continues to push on.
You don't want to be running any risks, do you? Because ultimately, you might end up getting a penalty after the race, or a time penalty. So ultimately, you want to make sure that you abide by those rules and don't push the limits.
Certainly so. Pin continuing on our way through. Purple in the first sector, and hasn't yet got a really representative time on the board, some 0.9 of a second away from Pulling's best, but she's 0.8 clear as she comes through turn 22, and it's the long run down to turn 27 for Pin. And this time looking altogether like it might take her to the top of the timing screens.
Well, let's see if she can go purple again, having gone purple in Sector 1 and Sector 2. You did back Pin at the beginning of the day. Looks like it could be the run. Let's take a look. What is the time going to be when she crosses the timing line? Could this be the quickest session? the quickest lap of the session with a 2:04.59. Very good indeed.
Yeah, it certainly is. Big lock-up down towards turn 1 for Pat. It is Pulling who's found her way up to second place. Hausmann jumping up to 4th place in the Aston Martin connected car. Nobles making her way up to 5th in this early flurry of qualifying laps. You're looking at Chambers down in the pit lane in the Haas liveried machine, still waiting with a set of tyres on the car to find the absolute best time to go out on circuit. And Edgar then making her way through. F1 Academy livery, unconnected car, bar from the series for Edgar. Sitting at the moment in 10th position. One of the drivers with no time on the board. That's why she's still able to improve in the early part of the session. Pounding down towards turn 22. 1.1 seconds down at this stage, but earlier on in her building phase. So let's see where she ends up when she's got the tyre up to temperature and where she needs it to be.
Jess Edgar is one of the drivers who Abby Pulling has kind of taken under her wing. They race together for Rodin, which is the works team behind Jess Edgar's team. She obviously started back in karting in 2010. Comes from a sort of racing family. So there's definitely a pedigree of racers in the DNA.
Graduate GV4 series. Jessica Edgar comes across the line up to 5th. Lovely, lovely time. We're keeping across the second fastest times of these various drivers, which will set the grid for race 2 here. The qualifying graphic that you can see, obviously demonstrating their quickest time in the session. So we'll be waiting until after the session to see where they line up based around their fastest time. Don't want to speculate on what that second grid will be. It's Maya Vug who makes her way across the line.
So it's 5 tenths up for Maya Vug on that lap. Let's take a look at what Leah Bloch can do, who had a fantastic session this morning in practice, 3rd quickest. It's obviously her first year with F1 Academy. She's traded in, rally and rallycross.
Absolutely, making her way from point-to-point rallying, AMA competition, all sorts of different, both petrol and electric-powered off-road racing for Bloch. Finding her way, has done a little bit behind the wheel of a single-seater, but finding her way to her first full series of single-seater racing and doing a fantastic job earlier on in practice. At the moment, the pecking order at the front, Pat, Pulling, Vug, Hausmann, Nobles, Edgar, Bloch, Bustamante, Jafali, the wild card driver, sitting in the top 9, and they are the drivers who've really got a representative time on the board. Pulling then, improving again though, Nikki, in the first sector.
Yeah, as you can see, gone purple in sector 1, so she's pushing hard. She said she's got more to give. Let's find out how much. It could be going for the quickest time during this qualifying session.
Going for it. Connected to the Alpine Academy, working with drivers like Alice Powell, and they're keeping an eye on Abby Pulling. A driver with lots of support behind her, and a big lock-up though, down towards turn 22, and it's the car with Bustamante going off in sympathy behind Abby Pulling, manages to keep it on the road. The full-time member of the Alpine Academy, that's hurt surely her exit, and maybe hurt the tyres as she's heading now down towards turn 27.
Again, this is going to be a learning experience, isn't it? How to do the best qualifying lap in this session, staying out of everyone's way, making sure you don't get any traffic. Has that moment cost her much time? Well, let's find out what time she's going to get as she goes across the finish line. It's 3 tenths up. Unfortunately, lost time on sector 3. She stays in P2.
What could have been for Abby Pulling as she got deep down into turn 22. And it's moments like that, I think we're going to see it again. Outside front lockup, look, on that curve on the way in. if you're delayed to throttle with only 170 odd brake horsepower under your right foot, it costs you so much as you go down towards that final turn. It's such a long run. There's Maya Vug falling foul again of that regulation that's in the driver's briefing notes and going over that painted area. The team need to be on the phone, don't they, to Maya, to try to let her know that she can't do that, because she is going to be losing qualifying times to that issue if she continues.
How much communication will be going on between the team and the driver during the course of this session?
Yeah, significant amount. They're trying to work it out. They're getting a feel for where the tyre is at. And then, of course, when they jump into the pit lane, as we have seen Edgar do earlier on in the session, they'll be looking through the data, trying to get everything they can out of the car and getting everything she can out of the car at the moment. 2 green sectors for Edgar in the F1 Academy livered machine, up to 3rd place. Losing out in the final sector, a 2:05.5, puts her just within a second of the lap time of Pin at the front.
Well, I think she's going to be pleased with that, right? She was coming into this session. She said that she just wanted to do the best she possibly could, make everyone proud. And at a position in P3, I mean, ultimately, that would be a podium finish. So you've got to be pleased with that.
Certainly do. It's going to be an interesting race here. It's going to be a slipstreaming contest. We're seeing a bit of that slipstreaming now. Tommy Hilfiger, supported car of Marty, making her way through the first sector. No time on the board yet for Marty, so a driver choosing to run later in this session, 1.3 seconds down, but we're really seeing this tyre build for the drivers slowly, and I suspect drivers just getting a feel out there as well for the racetrack as they see it for the first time this weekend in nighttime conditions, try and get their eye in and try and build tyre temperature in the cooler conditions. Interesting to see where Marty comes across the line. It's not going to be a chart topping time for Neria.
But that car in the Tommy Hilfiger livery, it looks absolutely fantastic. One of the sponsors of the Campos car for Nerea Marti. She's going to cross the line, and it's 1 second, 6/10 down. That was not going to get her the best position. 8th.
Yeah, across the line
Always
as well.
room for improvement on that one.
Across the line as well. Chambers in the Haas livery machine, 2.1 seconds down. Still, Doriane Pin is the dominant driver at this stage. Al-Kabasi, another one, finding the exit road through the mid-corner of turn 22 in the 88 Visa Cash App entry. And just that outside front lockup. I think as they're going over that curb on the right-hand side, we're seeing these cars react really aggressively to the curbing, lose traction, and then be unable to turn the wheel. Through then the exit of turn 13 for Al-Kabasi, trying to get a nice lap time on the board, and down towards the mid-corner of turn 16, staying well away from the curb through the mid-corner of turn 17, and then it's a long run down to 22. This is where we've seen moments for other drivers in the braking zone over the curb. It's coming up on our right-hand side just now, and losing that right front with load across the car. Making her way through, neater and tidier that time, but still 1.2 seconds down then as she makes her way into what would be the final DRS zone of the lap. Apart from the start-finish straight, no DRS activation available on these cars. It's a pure slipstreaming race when they're behind each other. Down towards turn 9, down towards turn 27 she goes, and let's see what it is. Let's see if she's managed to find some time in that final sector.
So she went green in sector 1, no improvement on sector 2, but has she made up some time in sector 3 to improve on her lap? It's a 1 second, 0.5 down, which puts her
7th. And now 8th across the line as Marty and Chambers cross the line. 3rd and 4th for Marty and Chambers. So nice laps from both of them. Pan and Pulling still right on top of it out front. We're looking at the car of Jafali, right, wildcard entry for this weekend, supplied from the local region, a real trailblazer in terms of motoring in this region of the world. It's great to see how she gets on. She's getting out of the pit lane now, sitting in 14th position at this stage. Looking at the second of the Al-Khabazi sisters. And making her way then through the mid-sector of the lap, down towards turn 16, sitting in 12th position currently. Both run by MP Motorsport, both run by different iterations of Red Bull livery, one with the main team livery, one with the Visa Cash App RB livery and the associated support. Great to see the F1 teams, the brands, clubbing together and supporting this initiative. Amazing work done by Susie Wolff and everyone at F1 Academy to raise the profile of this series to the point where we see these young drivers able to pound round on a Formula One weekend and be here for their first round. Al-Khabazi across the line. Let's see what she can achieve. 1.6 down, making the move up the making the move to 12th place, remaining in 12th place for Al-Khabazi. So
I think they've had quite a lot of team personnel change at MP Motorsport, which potentially could be the reason why we're not seeing the lap times that we would perhaps have expected to see from the MP drivers, which include Amelie de Hausch, Amda Al-Khabazi and Amna Al-Khabazi.
Yeah, only 9 people able to work on these cars.
Let's have it. Come on, you can do it.
Some words of encouragement there. Did that always used to help or hinder your performance? Put the pressure on?
I hated being spoken to in the braking zone, but a bit of a G up, pushing the Edgar to try to find that little bit of extra performance. And you do sometimes need it around a circuit like this, where bravery, such a factor. Lovin Foss making her way down towards turn 16, sitting at the moment in 8th position, the Charlotte Tilbury entry, and going for it then through the exit of 16, shortening the distance. As you can see, these drivers lower horsepower than we see in the Formula 2 cars or the Formula 1 entries throughout the weekend. So every extra meter you do is a meter that you don't want to do. Only 7/10 of a second down as she makes her way through turn 22, and the driver who looking to find her way to the front of the field, carrying this incredibly distinctive livery, the French driver, turning her way with an armful of lock through the turn 27, 2 green sectors and 8th position. Let's see what she can do across the line.
So Lovin Foss for Charlotte Tilbury, 8/10 down. Goes 4th quickest of the session. Pan still in the top spot, pulling just behind. Could be a battle between the two of them during the course of this race.
Incident between Bustamante and Chambers being noted with regards to impeding. So we'll see, we'll keep you across if anything else is going on with that.
We need 1 clean lap, okay? 1 clean lap.
So much in driver performance here, and that's what we're really seeing. The tyre is staying with me, the car is the car. It's all about these young drivers improving lap after lap after lap. Maya Vug being pushed by the team, being pushed by Framer to try to find a little bit of extra performance. She's improved again down through the first sector, and we are seeing drivers improve lap on lap on lap on lap out there. So improvement for in the first sector and the second sector for Vug, improvement for Lovin Foss in the first sector as well, as the track continues to improve, as the car and the tyre continue to come with them, and as they keep on improving their driving as well. Down through that final corner in the Prema run, Ferrari livery car, only 16th at the moment for Vogue. Has lost times early on in this session to those track limits infringements. Down across the line in the first corner. It's 1.2 seconds down, and she goes up to second place for Vogue. Brilliant stuff across the line. 1.2 seconds down for what Pin has achieved, but it is a nice grid position to be taking through into the first race of the year.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hugely confident move there. She, of course, won the Rising Star program that gave her the opportunity to become the first female Ferrari Driver Academy, and now sits on the F1 stage for Ferrari.
Born in Spain, racing under a Dutch flag, but really will relish this opportunity if she's able to keep hold of it to start across the front of the grille. But has Abby Pulling got something to say about that? Has Abby Pulling got something to say about the absolute top spot, the Alpine Academy driver coming through turn 27?
Now, at this point, has the team radio in and told her, right, there, Vogue has just pipped you at the post, you've got to improve on your lap time?
Absolutely so. We'll be improving on her lap time, back up to second or back up even to pole position. It's a long run down towards the timing line for Pulling. Can she pull something out of the back here? It's second, 1.2 back, and she reclaims then that front row grid position. Alice Powell blows a sigh of, well, was it relief or was it shock at the spectacular time that Doriane Pin's laid down that nobody seems to be able to get near at the moment?
She looks pretty untouchable, I've got to say. I don't think we were expecting that time. We knew they would get faster, but over a second gap between Pin and Pulling is a phenomenal achievement right there. But we've still got over 4 minutes left of this qualifying session, so there is still the opportunity to set another flying lap.
Winding up then towards the end of this qualifying session. Vogue will be the next one across the line again. The Prema underneath her. Still improving. Everyone green now as they're finding their way. It's Vogue up to second, only a second back from the time of Pin. Demotes Pulling to the second row, and Marty behind. Hausman across the line up to seventh, and the Löwenfoss making her way through the final corner will be the next driver across the line. Block has made her way up to fourth. Löwenfoss sitting in sixth position. Can she improve her position as she heads down towards the timing line? Yes, 1.5 seconds down. It's up to fourth for Löwenfoss. Marty, we're expecting to see now in the Tommy Hilfiger livery car. No, it's Marty then rolling through that final corner. Bustamante just up the road behind her, and it's Marty out of the final corner, foot to the floor, power to the road for the young Tommy Hilfiger supported driver. And then across the line for Marty. No improvement in her position, but an improvement in her time.
So let's take a look at what the McLaren development driver can now do. Bianca Bustamante in the Papaya. It's nearly 1.5 seconds off the top spot. Stays in P4.
Yeah, P4 for Bustamante. Looked like she had a big lockup as she headed down towards that first corner. So much hype around this driver. 3 minutes to go. Leah Block, Williams Academy colours, making her way through to the exit of turn 17. And that was very gravel rally, wasn't it, for Leah Block through the exit? What can she find then? Through the middle sector. It's the final moments, the final throws of qualifying here. 2 minutes, 40 seconds to go for Block, and it's cost her time in the middle sector. She won't be able to improve there unless she can find something fantastic in what is effectively 2 straights and a braking zone. This final left-hander of the lap, but it is a very, very tricky braking zone and a very tight exit up against the wall out of turn 27. Let's see what Block's got then as she rounds that final turn.
So Leah Block, she has swapped her rally cross gear to take up single-seater for the F1 Academy. She's racing for the Williams team. What time is she going to get as she crosses the line? It's 1.6 seconds down.
1.6 seconds down, not an improvement for Leah Block. She will have the opportunity to go again and maybe once more. Lovin Foss comes across the line, stays 5th, and these drivers now coming towards what will be their final lap of the session as they improve and improve and improve. Pulling is on a lap. Al-Kabassi is looking like she's not improving at this stage in the full Red Bull liveried car. No improvement in the first sector, no improvement in the second sector for Hamda Al-Kabassi, and well away from it, 6 seconds down, but it's Abby Pulling that we need to be looking at, and there she is, the 9 car, making her way down towards the line now, and this is another dual improvement in the first 2 sectors for Pulling.
So can she manage to move up? She's moved in to 2nd place.
Up to 2nd place.
7/10 down. Managed to close that gap by 4/10, getting closer to Doriane Pin.
Yeah, Doriane Pin, who hasn't improved since midway through the session here. 7/10 clear, seems to be relatively happy with it. This will be the final lap for Pulling. She makes her way through turns 4 and 5, glancing the curb through the exit of 5, and now this long section of sweepers. If she's going to steal pole position away from Doriane Pin, she's going to have to find a monster lap here.
So this is the final opportunity for Abby Pulling. Who is
Last
going
push,
to...
Aurelia, last push. We know that we are able to do it. So do it, push, give everything, push at maximum.
Do you think she got the message?
Push at maximum, that is where they all are.
Go for it, girl.
Right now.
Okay. So this is it, really. Who is going to take pole position for the first race of the season here in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia? There's a lot of eyes on this. Can Abby Pulling match the pace of Doriane Pin?
Don't think so. Through the first sector, not quite there. 4/10 down as she comes through the second sector. It'll be a monstrous final sector if she's able to do it, the young British driver. But I think Doriane Pin looking relatively secure at this stage. We've had Block across the line, we've had Lovin Foster across the line in 6th and 7th place respectively, and I think Pin is going to be able to hold on to it as we move into the first race of the year. Pulling, is she able to do anything? Good toe then across the line, a little bit of a tailwind behind, but I'm not expecting to see Pulling be able to make her way to the front of the field, trying absolutely everything, taking a toe from Bustamante, but it's not going to be enough. Surely Doriane Pin now on course for pole position.
It was an absolutely phenomenal lap from Doriane Pin. It looks unbeatable as the cars all come in and cross the finish line. Will we see any positions change?
I don't think so at this stage. Doriane Pin, 2:03.4. That will be the strongest lap of the session by some margin, and look to have the measure of the rest of the field throughout. Very much the real deal, isn't she? Doriane Pin, fantastic performance, and we'll stay across it, stay across the socials, stay across the press releases for who is going to be delivering the second fastest time and taking pole for race 2. But I think we can be relatively sure that Pin is going to be on pole for race 1 and definitely up there, if not on pole for race 2 as well. Seem to have the measure of the field throughout that session.
Yeah, we will get confirmation after the session of that race 2 grid. But if I was a betting woman, which I'm not, yeah, it's got to be Doriane Pin, definitely on the front row, that's for sure, for that race 2. So that's Doriane Pin on pole position for race 1 and Abby Pulling alongside her in P2. As we go racing tomorrow.
We're getting a notification in for Leah Block, who's lost that time across the line. Those are expecting her to be further up the order at the end of qualifying. Lost that time for the same issue that Amaya Vogue had with the entry to the pit lane, crossing across that painted area, the entry to the pit lane. So has lost that. It's been deleted, unfortunately, for Leah Block, but delight for Prema, and excellent work for Doriane Pin. Let's have a listen in.
It's double pole position. Mega job. Good job.
So, double pole.
Yes, Dori, double pole, double pole. First pole by 8 tenths, second pole by 6 tenths.
Yes, yes, yes. Let's go. The car was mega for the play. Really good job, thank you.
Well, it was indeed an extremely good job for Doriane Pin, and the works team is Prema. She is obviously racing for the sponsor Mercedes. What a way to start your second or first season in F1 Academy with a double pole position here in Jeddah.
Sure is. Brilliant, brilliant work from Doriane Pin. A good day for Prema, taking Maya Vug to second place, so taking to third place on the first grid as well. Let's see how they lined up then, but what's pretty clear is double pole for Doriane Pin with the car underneath her and a fantastic performance over the full lap.
Right, let's take a look at those final results. So it is Doriane Pin in P1 on pole position. Abby Pulling will be alongside her at the start of that race, and Maya Vug in P3 for Ferrari. Nerea Marti put in a phenomenal lap as well. She'll be starting on P4. Bustamante 5th, Lovenfoss 6th. Leah Block did a great job in her first quali in F1 Academy 7th. Chloe Chambers in 8th. Aurelia Nobels in 9th, and Jessica Edgar in 10th. Tina Hausman for Aston Martin will be starting from P11. Carrie Schreiner for the Kick Sauber team in 12th. Hamda Al-Qubaisi for Red Bull Racing in 13th. Rima Jafali, a wildcard, in 14th. Al-Qubaisi 15th, and Emily de Hausch in 16th. Well, there we have it, the first qualifying session of the second season of F1 Academy. It was a dominant performance from Doriane Pin, who will be starting on pole position not once, but twice this weekend. Congratulations to her and her Mercedes Prema team. Join us tomorrow as we go racing.